like to kick game. Game meaning share information. I'm not with all of the yelling and screaming into the camera. I'm not that animated, you know. But this is what I'm going to say. I'm in Salt Lake City. They're loading my truck up. I'm transitioning from this job. I use this job in a beautiful way. I used it to relocate to a new city. I got my apartment looking really fly. I am in the process of transitioning into a home life again. I've been OTR or regional the past 3 years. So I'm transitioning. And I knew when I took this job that I wouldn't be here for long. But what I wanted to say is that one thing I've learned, I'm 30. So one thing I learned through my 20s, it's a similarity. It is similarities between how one treats their relationship, their intimate relationship, and how one treats their career, their personal relationships. Okay, stay with me. Okay, I'm gonna get a little deep with you. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I've been studying this for the past month now. But I have always thought about this using other theories. But Abraham Maslow came out with a pyramid called the hierarchy of needs. Okay, so our most basic needs, which is our physiological needs, water, food, shelter, clothing, breathing. These things are things that, or basically, we seek as animals to have. Humans as animals, basically, our things that we want. Okay. Jobs are supposed to take care of your most basic needs. Okay. But then we have higher needs. Okay. Level 2 becomes we want to get into a place that's safe, safety and security. Number 3 is self-esteem. This is when, we start being able to engage in interpersonal relationships with other people because we have our most basic needs met. We have our needs with our basic survival needs met. We have safety and security met. So now we can go out and we can start to express ourselves a little bit more. Then you have level 4, which is even a higher form of expressing yourself, right? And then you have level 5, which is self-actualization, which means that you have mastered the first 4 levels, and now you're so sure of yourself that you are self-actualized. As the kids say, I'm him, or I'm me, you know who you are. I am that I am. You don't seek validation through others or material things. The fact that you have come along so far in your life, that is the validation that you need, right? You could reflect on your own life, right? That's called being self-actualized. Most people in our society, in the world, and I'm talking globally, are not past level 1. Most people are constantly trying to keep their most basic needs met, which means that most people are on a animal level, a savage level. Now, it may be sophisticated savagery because most people don't realize that they're on a savage level, right? For example, why in poverty-stricken areas are there crimes? Because people are fighting for basic resources. Okay, why do nations attack each other? For resources. They're on the level the nation is acting at level 1. Okay, safety and security. Now, I'm talking about all of this. Why? Because it's relevant. In relationships, most people get in relationships because is one of our higher needs. Like level 3, level 4, relationships come in around level 3, level 4, after we've taken care of our lower needs. Once you get your basic needs met, you got secure water, food, shelter, clothing, safety and security, your self-esteem is at a good place. It's only natural at that point to start seeking others to share your world with. Okay? Jobs, like let's say you're on a job and your manager, the owners of the business, the establishment, are rude to you or mistreating you. If you stay because you're trying to get your most basic needs met, then you're in an abusive situation. You're in a situation that's actually threatening your safety and security. A lot of people would stay in the job because they would say, well, I need this job because, it is helping me get my most basic needs met. But then let's look at a relationship. Let's say a male or a female is in an abusive relationship. The partner that they're in a relationship is helping them stay at level 1, possibly level 2. But they're doing it in a way that's abusive. So they get food, shelter, clothing, they get a place to sleep, but periodically they're going to be physically accosted. They're going to be emotionally, verbally, spiritually abused. If they stay in their relationship simply because they fear that they won't be able to get their needs met, then they are then a slave. The same with a job. If a job is mistreating you, making you do things that you don't want to do, putting your personal safety at risk, and you do that just to get money, then you're a slave. If you can't say no, then you're a slave. Now, I would say that we're all victims of this system. All of us. Especially all the non-white people. We are victims in this system. Because for hundreds of years, our labor, our collective labor, was accosted, and we were unable to receive financial compensation for the work that we did. That's not me saying this is factual. This actually occurred, right? Okay. Which has a direct result of why many of us find ourselves in the position that we're in now. And it's my personal belief that no level of education can right that wrong. Even if every black person walking around here becomes doctors, lawyers, higher education, engineers, it would take 300 or 400 years of us rebuilding to right the wrong of the initial thing that happened to us. Now I'm getting off track. Let me get back on track. Why do I say this? Because since so much of this has happened to us, we're at most of us are at level 1. Most of us have not reached self-actualization. And I would like for all of us to become self-actualized. I would like for all of us to be confident in who we are, to be able to help other people. A lot of times when people say, man, black people don't help other black people, that's not true at all. But if both people don't have their most basic needs met, how can the other person help the other person? They can't, no matter how much they feel the need to. Now, what's remarkable is I think that the people who have the least are the ones that have the greatest potential to show love or have what we would consider love. Only people that know what injustice is would have the ability to try to and want to produce justice. Love, according to Neely Fuller Jr., means justice. Means that you want the best for someone. To love someone means that you want the best for them. You want justice for them. You want all of the wrongs to be right for them. That's what love is. We use words and we don't have an adequate understanding of the words that we use. And As a result, this produces confusion. A person can say, I love you. And then after they say, I love you, they can do great harm to you. So then it would come to mind to ask, well, what did you mean when you said that you loved me if you did great harm to me, or vice versa? If I harm you, but then at the same time I told you that I loved you, what did I mean? Either I'm confused or you're confused, or both confused, because our words don't match our actions. When it comes to jobs and relationships, both of them are essential on the hierarchy of needs. People need relationships, interpersonal relationships, to feel whole, to be human. We're not put on this earth to be antisocial. We are social animals. We're not put on this earth to be in a hostile environment or at war with each other. That's how we know that the world is not as it should be. When you turn on the news and you hear or you see a headline that says, this country has attacked this country, this person has harmed this person has taken the life of this person, that means that the world is not as it should be. We have a lot of work to do. That's what that means. We should be trying to produce justice. Lastly, what I would say is that comfort and justice are not synonymous. Now, this is not my theory. This is a theory that I read from Neely Fuller Jr., but other people have talked about this also. Okay, I draw an example. Lately, what I've been struggling with is most people, we live life as though we only work to buy material things. And I really struggle with that. It has to be more to life than the newest Tesla. It has to be more to life than a nice condo or, you know, a Maybach. Or it has to be more to life than jewelry, clothes, cars, you know, material things. It has to be more to life than being able to accumulate enough resources to where your basic needs are met. Now, that's essential to the hierarchy of needs, but then we got to start elevating and going up the ladder. The problem that I struggle with is like, man, jobs, careers, they are put in place to almost make sure that you don't ever reach the higher level. So most people, since we can't, in order for us to produce justice, the whole world would have to change. That's either true or false. Okay? Now, if it's false, I apologize for even bringing it up. But if it's true, then I'm valid in bringing it up. The whole world would have to change. The way we do things would have to change. Because that means that we're living under a society that should never have existed in this format. Right? Well, most people will allow a job to mistreat them if it meant that their most basic needs would be met. You know what I mean? Like most people are willing to stay in a relationship if it means that their most basic needs are going to be met. When we look at situations like these famous celebrities, the people that's involved in these court cases, and they say, well, I was abused in this relationship. And then some people look at it and then they go to a civil trial and then they're financially compensated. So it's almost like we're trained to think that it's okay for us to be mistreated as long as we're being financially compensated. That's a mental illness. I believe that. And I believe that most people in the world, including me, right? We suffer from severe, we suffer from severe mental illness. But the question then becomes, are we naturally ill, or is our environment an unhealthy environment? If I put you in a room with poisonous gas and you become sick, and I say, well, look, this person is sick. Yes, but let's acknowledge the elephant in the room, the poisonous gas. So I say all that and wrapping it up, landing my plane, is don't allow yourself to be mistreated, even if it means walking away. That means a job, that means a relationship. One of the best advice my mom ever gave me, which was she was a mental health counselor. She always told me, if you are angry, then move away from what's triggering you. If someone is bothering you or is confrontational, first try to avoid it. Now, my dad gave me, he came with the masculine principle. So he was a United States Marine at one point in time in his life. So my dad gave me similar advice, like, hey, avoid confrontation. But at the same time, if you cannot avoid confrontation, then the confrontation must be had so that now we can have peace. If we have to have confrontation, and the confrontation could be verbal, it doesn't have to be physical all the time. If the tough things need to be said in order for there to be peace, then we have to have the tough conversation so that there can be peace. You need both principles, male and female. Sometimes we need to avoid the conflict because it's not even worth it. Sometimes we need to avoid people, avoid jobs, avoid certain things when there's no harmony there. But sometimes there could be harmony, but we have to have the tough conversations. We have to confront it. A lot of times while people are unhappy in their life, even me, I look at me. I try to focus on me first. Before I start trying to analyze everybody else, I analyze Brian. I analyze me, right? I look at what I'm doing, right? And one of the things I can say is that knowing your worth is not just some slogan that people should have. Like, you gotta know that you're capable of becoming self-actualized, that you matter, your life matters, your time matters, your day matters, what you do matters. Now, sometimes we have to sacrifice. Sometimes we have to suck it up and say, okay, I have to do what I don't want to do what I want to do later. But you can't just simply continue to do what you don't want to do because it's getting your basic needs met. Forget all that. Life is too short. Sometimes you have to, the key, I think, the key to a happy career in life is to entwine what you naturally like to do with a way to get paid for it. Simple. If you naturally like solving problems, get a career where you solve problems. Create your own business where you solve problems. If you naturally like traveling, get a career where you like traveling. Trucking for me wasn't necessarily the hardest job in the world because I enjoy traveling. It's one of my favorite things to do. But to another person who likes to be in one place, they may not like trucking. Now, there's other things I hated about trucking, things like that. And so the key to the message is don't allow yourself to be played. Don't allow yourself to be belittled. So often people are so focused on their basic needs, they can't think. They can't even begin to think on a higher level. Let's say I'm hungry and I'm gonna land my plane. Let's say I'm hungry and I'm like, I haven't ate in 2 days, 3 days. And somebody is asking me to solve this complex algebra problem. Even if I know the answer, I probably can't solve that problem because my most basic primal need of needing food isn't met. Okay? And what I would like to say is, in closing, is that with relationships and jobs, because they're very similar with the way that we respond to things, because we need the money from the jobs. We seek the affection from the relationships or relationships, because you have multiples. You have, family relationships, intimate relationships with your partner, your lover. And then we have a relationship with ourselves and the relationship with how we relate to the world, right? Most of that is always going to be in disharmony. Why? because the environment is not a healthy environment. We don't live in a harmonious society. And most people, since they spent 50, 60, 70, 80 years here, we have been trained to think that we're never going to live in a harmonious society. That living in a harmonious society is impossible. I disagree. I watch how kids interact. Kids are beautiful, innocent. Kids don't trip off the stuff that adults trip on. We socialize them to become problems. And then when they grow up, we say, man, look at that kid, he's a problem. We made him a problem. We made her a problem. Is the child messed up? Or is the world that the child going to grow up in messed up? Is the child just born with significant problems? Or is the world that the child is going to be socialized to grow up in have significant problems? Okay? How can we bring justice to the world? How can we make the world a better place? As a trucker, man, I've seen places, poverty, all across the United States of America. You know, for the last 4 years, I've seen this. I've seen people begging for money. You know how much money I've stopped at a red light and I used to keep dollars up here just to give to homeless people. I wonder, like, you don't feel that? Like you don't have empathy with that? Like when you see somebody like struggling like that? Like I actually feel it. Like like, dang, that's messed up. Instead of solving these problems, a lot of time these people are taken advantage of because they're willing to do things to get their most basic needs met. And what's so sad is that you don't have to be almost homeless to be willing to do anything to get your most basic needs met. The average person, they're like 2 or 3 missed paychecks away from completely losing their humanity. Like let a person go 2, 3, 4, let a person go 3 months without getting any money, and you will see just how savage we could become. And that's very sad. We shouldn't have to live in a world like that. You know, the universe, the creator, gave us a beautiful planet. It's mountains behind me, right? I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. Beautiful planet. How are we treating the planet? If we treat the planet messed up, how do you think we're going to treat one another? But then like I said, if our most basic needs are not met, how can we begin to even treat other people with any type of kindness or respect or love? So don't let anybody mistreat you. You know, if you have to walk away, walk away. If you have to leave your job, leave your job. You know, sometimes you got to stand in there and fight, but that's not this conversation. It's all situational. Not all advice is that I might give or the lessons that I learned that I share are going to be tailored for every situation, right? So some things I say may contradict something else that I said. And that's perfectly fine because I'm human, right? And it's all situational because the external factors may change the way that advice or that lesson has to be applied. And so, yeah, I decided to walk away from this job because I was only using it to get my most basic needs met. And then I was going to go get another job or do something else where I could get those needs met. Before I staying here for forever and all this other stuff, I wasn't doing all of that. And I think we live in a society that's broken. And the same goes for relationships. You know, don't stay in a relationship if you're only doing it because, you know, your name is on the lease with a person or you done got a mortgage with a person. That's what makes marriage difficult. Marriage isn't difficult because of the two people. But the marriage is more than just the two people. The marriage is between the two people and the greater society. If the world that the two people are in, or two or more people are in, if you're in that type of situation, is unhealthy, so how could the relationship be healthy? But we try our best, right? So thank you if you made it this far into the video. I would love to hear your perspective. Drop, a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Wow, I just seen like a little twister. That's nature. Nature is beautiful, man. Sometimes you gotta go outside and touch grass, you know what I'm saying? And I would tell you, keep your head up. You could do anything you put your mind to. Read a lot, learn a lot. Don't just read books though, because I read a lot, but you have to actually go outside and touch grass, experience things. But books help us put new ideas in our brain, And instead of if you have a child, instead of telling your kid, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Ask your child, what type of person do you want to become when you are older? That's a better way to phrase it, because telling a person to become a doctor or become a lawyer or, become an engineer, those are activities that we do, but that's not on the core of us who we are. And in this meritocracy society that we live in, we infuse our work occupation with our identity. And I don't think that that's healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like we on our forehead, we're trying to prove our social status. We're trying to prove how worthy we are. Why? Because we haven't excelled into self-actualization. We're seeking validation through external sources, and it's never going to work. Instead of, like, I have this friend, I haven't talked to her in a minute, Jamel. Jamel used to say, it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think. And that's so true. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was some heavy game he was dropping. It doesn't matter what I think or these people on YouTube think. It matters what you